Shalom, shalom. Bet you guys thought we wasn't gonna get on here for the second time this week. Uh, again, man, I'm getting on here late, but on time, right? Y'all forgive me, man. Coming down with or came down with a little bug. But this video, man, I just wanted to, uh, kind of do the same thing we did last week. It's a little post camp recap, and some thoughts and advice I think that we went over today that would be beneficial for a lot of people, right? um, we talked to several people today. We talked to a group of young boys around 16, 17, and 18, right? We talked to, two white fellas. We talked to two gentlemen that we met in the past. And we also talked to another gentleman that was trying to get his hustle and bustle on. Oh, and we rekindled with another older gentleman. If you from like 2023, I think, you know what I'm saying. If you go on our Instagram page, we got pictures with the elder. You know what I'm saying. He was doing mighty at the time, not so high now. That's another story for another day. But I did want to touch on.
Dang, that is true. I was like, until you mentioned it, he's another one. We went into a lot of faces today.
Yeah,
They just kept popping up.
we even ran into the guy that's a professional wrestler too, right?
Oh yeah, dang. Everybody was popping up today.
Yeah, and the younger guy that was with his girlfriend at the end too, that I thought was a potato chip guy. So we ran into a lot of people today. Two conversations kind of piqued my mind. Really, one, to be honest, they both go hand in hand. But I wanted to bring out three scriptures, just briefly tell you guys, the advice that we gave uh, today. I think is pretty solid, um, and they're geared towards certain individuals or certain age groups, if you will. Nonetheless, they're good. Those won't be long at all, right? First precept. I gotta share my screen first. Um, let's tackle. I want to tackle this. Right. Let's go to KJV.com. 13:11. Uh, sorry, I should have did this before, but I'm about to share my screen. Hold up. First Corinthians 13 and 11. Right? It's a classic. Man, what is going on? Come on now. There you go. There you go. It's a classic, right?
Um, 1 Corinthians 13:11. When I was a child, I spake as a child. I understood as a child. I thought as a child. But when I became a man, I put away childish things.
Yeah, so we talked to a group of boys today, man. It's about what, seven of them, six of them, and we were just giving them advice, life advice. After we kind of broke down a little bit of the scriptures to them, we kind of just got it kind of real and got into life advice. Right, one of the life advice that we gave them. Matter of fact, let me read this other precept first before I jump into that. But understand this classic right here. It's time at some point you're gonna have to put childish things behind you, right? The childish thing in this moment, right, and it'll be the example for this lesson, is hoop dreams, right? Playing basketball, making it to the NBA, or even making it overseas, right? Again, man, nothing's necessarily wrong with wanting hoop dreams, but understand that don't put all your eggs in one basket. Um, and I'm speaking from experience because that's what I did, and ultimately it sets you back. You'll be 25, 30 with no game plan and behind the ball on things. And one thing, we're advocating for is that, yeah, man, you can get a lot out of playing sports, but at the end of the day, it is a game, right? And all games, I don't care how much they pay you, all games are made for children, right? So put away them childish things, even to the point where, you know, professional athletes, they get out of the league and they go bankrupt, right? Or they just have no wherewithal in life. They don't know how to, you know, go to the bank and do regular things. They don't know how to register their cars. They don't know how to file their taxes, stuff like this, right? Because they made their whole life, and they put all their eggs in the basket for a game, right? I want to bring up one more precept before I really dive into this thing and share the advice that we gave to the brothers. Um, it's gonna be in the apocrypha. Let
And
me
you know,
see.
we kind of rain on them brothers' parade a little bit. And you know, I'm already knowing when I was that age, and people telling me what we told them today. Part of me is like, man, they just mad because they hoop dreams didn't pan out, and I'm not gonna be like them. And you know, they telling me not to worry about. I was the same way. Even my father told me don't give too much into sports and stuff like that. Like I was the same way. So I'm already knowing the mindset of a 15-year-old, 16, 17-year old. They think the whole life is ahead of them. But I will say, like the brother Dan just said, all that stuff is really putting, especially our people, so-called Negroes, people's lives to distract us. And you know, I can remember instances where, you know, I'm in my sophomore year in college. I'm what, 20 years old, 21 years old, and it's a dude that we went to high school with. He's already a journeyman electrician. Right? I'm still, I don't know nothing about life. I'm just living my college life, you know, having fun going to parties. He's a journeyman electrician. And it just tells you how far behind you are just because you're chasing a dream.
Right, man. You know, and it takes them real conversations that we had with the brothers today, or like our father had with us. You know, those are needed, right? I was still tracing the dream until finally, you know, I remember having a conversation with my father, our father, and he kind of sit down and told us, "Hey, man, when you gonna get that up, right? When you gonna, you know, pretty much come to reality." You know what I'm saying? And you know, sometimes silence can be taken for what's the infamous proverb? Silence can be taken for compliance, right? And what happens is if we don't have those talks with people, we're not real with them. Well, you know, the adverse effect is you think the person that is supporting you. And that's what I was doing. I thought because our dad wasn't saying nothing that he was supporting our hoop dreams, not realizing all the time he just didn't want to rain on our parade. But it came to a point where it's like, hey, bro, you're getting older, right? When you're gonna put that the game up, right? When you're gonna worry about the real world and things of that nature, right? And so sometimes those conversations are needed to have to snap somebody out of a childish mindset where it says I was a child, I spake as a child, I thought as a child, into doing adult things, right? Because you're not a child no more, or you're embarking, you're right there on the cusp of adulthood, right? This is Sirach chapter 34 and 1, though, right? We're gonna read 1 and 2.
Sirach or Ecclesiasticus 34:1. The hopes of a man void of understanding are vain and false, and dreams lift up fools.
Right. It says the hopes of a man of understanding are vain and false, right? Uh, and dreams lift up fools. This is exactly what we've been talking about, man. This is the conversations that we've been having, right? Why? Because your hopes of making it to the league, right? They're void. They're empty. Why are they empty, right? Because you have no control over that, right? It's void of understanding because you have no control under that, right? You know, you're really just, you know, what the Bible say, how the Bible say it, casting lot on your life. You go into the casino with your life, right? It's vain and false. Why is it vain? Because man, everybody that that has a dollar in a dream or hoop dreams have a little bit of narcissism in them, thinking that they him, right? Nobody can mess with them, right? But that's false, right? Because on average, the average basketball player is average, right? When you think about those guys that's in the league, they're freaks of nature, you know. And I used to be a part of that delusion too, right? I'm, you know, 5'10", maybe pushing 5'11", 6 foot with boots on, right? But you know, I still thought I was an exception, and that was vain of me, and it was false, and I had a void of understanding of knowing like why would somebody go with me when somebody that can do what I do but taller, right? Why wouldn't they go with them, right? And so it's like, um, it comes to being vain and false, and it says dreams lift up fools, right? You have those hoop dreams, or you might have those uh, rapper dreams of becoming a rapper or whatever, or you girls, y'all's idea is being a model and an actress and stuff like that, right? These dreams they lift up fools, right? Because you put why? Because just like we said, you put all your eggs in a basket, right? Which is foolish. I remember myself, man. I told myself, I ain't got no plan B. This basketball thing gonna pan out. You know what I'm saying? Little did I know, right? And a lot of you guys are the same way, where you know I ain't got no plan B. I'm gonna be a model. I'm gonna be an actress. I'm gonna be a rapper. I know 30-year olds. I know 40-year olds that are still trying to be rappers to this day. I know people that's older than me that graduated 4 years before me, 3 years before me, still trying to make it to the league, right? Still trying to make it overseas. You know what I'm saying? And what they have done is thrown away their life and became foolish, right? Watch verse number 2.
Two, who regardeth dreams is like him that catcheth at a shadow and followeth after the wind.
Right, man. You chasing after your own shadow, bruh. You know how foolish that looks? It's like you following after the wind, bro. The wind is never gonna stop, bro. You never gonna catch the wind. You know what I'm saying? You never gonna catch the wind. You ever seen somebody their hat flew off their head and they chasing their hat? And the only reason why they retrieve their hats because the wind stopped blowing, right? It's how you guys look when you're chasing after these dreams, right? But so I want you to understand that it's not technically your fault. It's the society that we've been raised in. But that's why we're having this conversation to break you out of the matrix, to let you know that, hey, look, don't let society dangle all of these dainties in front of you, right? The NBA, the NFL, being a rapper, all this stuff that you see glorified on social media. Don't let it dangle in front of you and make you put all your eggs in one basket, right? One thing we see at other nations, what they do is, yeah, they might put their kids in these sports, and yes, their kids might, in the back of their head, want to make it to the professional level, but they also make sure their kids are heavy into invested into something else, right? Like I told the young brothers today, I said, man, it might seem boring to be a physical trainer or physical therapist. It might seem boring to be a consultant or an accountant, right? But at the end of the day, when basketball is not there anymore, when football is not there anymore, and you come to the grips like you 34 and you know you're not going to the league, because one, man, just be honest, they're not letting you into the league if you under really 25, bro. They want some longevity out of you, right? So once you get about 34 and you realize it's not going to happen, you start looking at your counterparts, right? The little white boys that was on your team, right, that might have been trash, might have one good game, but he running a business, right? He in a skyscraper, right? On the golf course somewhere, got his life together, got a family and kids. And then you see our people, what happens, man? We glorify the Amazon warehouse gigs, right? Oh, you working at Amazon? Well, that's some good money. That's some good money, right? Oh, you a cook at Carrabba's? Well, I put my application in there, they denied. We glorify stuff like that, man. Once we get, because we done threw all of our eggs in one basket, bro, and that's what we behind the ball. So we were telling these brothers, hey, look, man, you can get good good characteristics from playing sports, right? But always have a plan B. Don't be that guy that don't got a plan B. Don't be that guy that's not invested in something else. because at the end of the day, what is success? Success is sustainability, right? Success is sustainability. And then you ain't got that if you putting all your eggs in one basket into a game that is rigged. You see what I'm saying? And we got to have these real conversations. But yeah, you got anything on that topic before I go to my last topic?
Yeah, when it comes to being like famous, right? They dangle celebrities and stardom and things in your face, and it becomes a dream, and you lose track of reality. Sounds cliche, but you lose track of what actual reality is, and you'll, like the brother Denal said, you'll end up in your 30s, working for a manager that's 22 years old because that manager or that so-called white guy or white girl, got their degree, and while they was getting their degree, they was spending their time doing internships and stuff while you was practicing in the gym.
Right. And you
Right.
guys probably were on the same team.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And so, you know, all that, just I know our people want, you know, things that are, you know, I don't even have the words for it, to be honest, because being in that system, it's like I've been in that dream thinking that it's a pitch to where you really believe that you're gonna be, on the stage of the things that you see, and anything is possible, because that's what, whenever you hear your favorite celebrity have an interview, they always say just keep on believing, anything's possible. If I can do it, you can do it. But the thing is, man, you'll know if you're gonna make it or not by a certain age. Like by a certain young age, you know, like if you have the right people in your corner, if you have the right, situation. And once you realize it's a fight, right? That's when you need to make the switch. If it's a fight for you to get overseas, if it's a fight for you to get into a scholarship or a school or whatever, it's not working out for you. It's time for you to be real with yourself and make that mental switch, right?
Right.
Um, because a lot of time will go by before you even know it.
Right, man. Right. So there's a little bit of advice. Now shifting gears, it kind of leads into this one too. This one is I just got one more precept, one more topic that we hit on tonight. And I think it's important too. We've been talking about it recently. Let me bring it up. It's Proverbs 13 and verse 22.
The book of Proverbs, chapter 13 and verse 22. A good man leaveth an inheritance to his children's children, and the wealth of the sinner is laid up for the just.
Right. One thing we talked about today, man. Shout out to I know I normally don't like name dropping folks, man, but shout out to the Deacon. He has a song. He says, man, if we all had life insurance, they'd start killing us, I believe, right? And so that's kind of what we're leading into this, man. Leaving behind inheritance. We know we're behind the ball as a nation when it comes to inheritance, right? Because we didn't get our 40 acres and a mule. And we know our counterparts did have all the land and stuff to pass down. We understand that we're at a disadvantage, right? When it comes down to inheritance. You know what I'm saying? People can argue opportunity all the time, but we know for a fact when it comes to inheritance and ownership, we're behind the ball, right? But you can still fulfill this proverb. And how can you do that? Through life insurance policies, right? And it's just a thought that we've been going over, just some advice. I'm not trying to pitch a certain company or anything. I'm just saying it's a smart thing to do because this is how our counterparts stay wealthy, right? When you see somebody die from our counterparts, one thing you don't notice or you don't see from them, and the brother Azrael pointed this out, is them posting GoFundMe pages and stuff like that to carry out um the funeral or to help out with the kids and wife they left behind or anything like that. Why is that? Because they have life insurance policies. I hate this because it sounds like I'm a rep or something like that, right? But it just makes sense. This is how they are able to hold on to wealth and create wealth. And for us that never had anything, this is how we create wealth. Um, we talked about it. Somebody got to take the risk. Somebody got to take the lead on this, right? So you might not benefit from it in your lifetime, but your kids will benefit after you, right? And if they do it, it just widens the pot, and so on and so forth, right? But it has to start somewhere. That snowball effect has to start somewhere. Um, and this was a hidden thing that our nation, our people are not privy to. Think about it, man. He said in his song that if we all had life insurance, they'll stop killing us. Right now, they're killing us for free, but if we had life insurance, there would be a price that had to be paid out for everybody that they murdered, right?
They would
And
be
now
making us richer with every
they would
death.
they would be making us richer, right? And ultimately helping out our communities, right? I know that sounds weird, but it would be, you know what I'm saying? So that's just food for thought. If you're trying to start an inheritance, you want to be considered a good man. You want to look out for your children, man. It could be as simple as taking $20 out your check to go towards a life insurance policy that your company offers. You know what I'm saying? It's something little as that, and you can be fulfilling this proverb, and feeling better about yourself, because I know a lot of us have been dealt bad hands, and we can't even save properly. Not because we don't want to, because we don't make enough money to do that, because it's going towards certain things like bills and stuff like that, right? So if that's you and you want to make a difference, you want to leave something, man, give it a thought. And that was our advice to some people today, right? And I know this video is a little bit unconventional, unorthodox from what we normally do, because we're giving a lot of advice that doesn't necessarily um, come straight out of the book, but it's advice that this book leads into all aspects of life, right? So take this advice serious. You know what I'm saying? Even for me, I know I got a life insurance policy right now, but I could probably put more in there, especially coming up. You know what I'm saying? So these are little things that we can do as a community to leave behind, like Proverbs just says, the wealth, right? Um, that's what we're trying to obtain, is the wealth. And if they're giving away free money, man, you might as well take it. It's not free, but you know what I mean, you know. But yeah, man, that's just some of the thoughts and advice that we kind of went into tonight. Nothing too strenuous. I just thought those two things were could help somebody out, man. Maybe if you saw this video, and it was for you, it was for you. But yeah, just to touch on a recap. Do you have anything else, Brother Ariel?
Yeah, I know a lot of us look at like, dang, I don't want them taking $20 out my check, but that $20 for that $1 million policy or whatever, could set your family up, your grandkids up. You know what I'm saying? Just imagine right now in your life if your grandparents had $1 million policies before they passed, or if you're old enough and your parents have passed, or if your parents have passed early, imagine if they had $1 million policies. Imagine how much easier your life would be right now. Imagine the generational wealth and what you can do, how much land and how much you can, have a head start in life, right? So a lot of it is just doing the right thing, right? Knowing that, ultimately you can save all the money you want and not have the $20 come out your check, right? But like the scripture just said, it's laid up for somebody else to take it. You're gonna be saving all that money for what? It's not gonna get passed down, right? So you might as well store something up for your kids and your kids' kids, so that way you're still benefiting somebody even after you passed.
It's a fact, man. Right. Well, man, without further ado, man, we give all honor and glory to the Most High God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. We do so by way of His only begotten Son, who is an instrument of salvation for the nation of Israel, man. He also said, remember, if you're not helping to gather, you're helping to scatter by default, right? So make sure you're doing your due diligence to put in your bricks some way, somehow, right? Whether that is teaching family members, reaching out to strangers, right? Uh, Even reading your chapters, getting your prayers in, you know what I'm saying? Make sure you're building yourself up every single day and helping others to build themselves up in some way as well, right? Because it's all about reaching out and gathering ourselves together. Well, I'm tongue tied. But with that being said, man, right? I hope you guys had a wonderful Shabbat. I hope you guys got to press that reset button for this upcoming week. If you had a bad one, if you had a good one, hopefully it added to it. And we'll see you guys next week. Shalom.
So.